you can go ahead and title this 1.3. This is function operations. Okay, and today is the 10th. Okay. The first one is a little bit of review. Okay, so these are operations that you have done before, but we're going to add a little bit of notation and function notation. That's fx for function. It's just an abbreviation. Okay, first one is going to be add or subtract. Operations are PEMDAS: add, subtract, multiply, divide, exponents. Okay, and it's going to look like this. F of x plus or minus g of x. That means that you've added two expressions together before, combining like terms, right? That's what add and subtract is, combining like terms. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the notation a little bit, okay? Another way to write this, okay, f plus g. Notice I took the names of the function f and g, and I left the x part off. Same thing, just different look. Obviously, add or subtract. We need to be able to read this notation and write it like this. You should be able to go back and forth between the two notations. Okay, multiply. F of x times g of x. Now these are both function notations. They're just a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to get one parentheses, and I'm going to take the names of the functions, and I'm going to multiply them. Divide f of x divided by, extra parenthesis, g of x. Okay, so I'm going to take the names of the function. I don't want to write that divide sign, so I'm going to write the fraction bar instead of x. Okay, these are review operations. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Notice that there are two x's, right? And I combine and I only write one x. So let's do some examples with that. So let's say that f of x equals 2x plus 3. And let's say g of x equals 4x minus 1. And let's say h of x equals 3. Okay. Let's do maybe one of each of those. See what it looks like. Find f plus g of x. You have to convert it to the other notation and then substitute. So f plus g of x equals f of x plus g of x. Notice that the one input split into two places. Okay, what is f and what is g? I would like you to use grouping symbols. Okay. 2x plus 3 and 4x minus 1. Combine like terms, right? You have done that skill before. All I did is I added some notation at the front. Plus 2. That is it. There is no solving. All you're doing is finding f plus g. Write the expression. Okay, so your final answer is f plus g of x equals. That is the answer. I did not ask you to do anything else besides find out what you get when you add f and g together. Okay, find f times g of 3. So I put a number there. It's okay. That just means that 3 is the x number. Now I am not multiplying by 3. I know those parentheses make you think multiply, but we have to convert it to the other notation. F of 3 times g of 3. Okay. What is f of 3? Right? I plugged it into the f function. Notice that each of these individual pieces alone, you're like, yes, I can do that, and now we're putting some things together. Okay, g of 3. PEMDAS, right? Simplify. You don't really need that multiply in between the parentheses, but I was trying to keep the same notation as the line before it, right, where you see that times there. So the final answer is that's how you write it. Notice that in the first example, I had an x, so I have an x. In the second example, I had a number, so I have a number. Simplifies to a number. All right. Try one on your own. Find f of x divided by h of x and oh, well, sure. Okay, two different notations, same operation. Let's just in here. Yeah, division is tricky. You might want to write it as a fraction instead, right? Division is a little tricky. You might want to write it as a fraction instead. Okay. All right. Horizontal notation or vertical notation? Can you simplify that? think of mx plus b, right? That's a line. How would you write it? Mm-hmm.
Well, I was gonna say that you would cross the threes.
Mm-hmm. The threes can reduce. Okay, they do reduce to 1, but what goes in front? I don't hear it yet. Yeah? Yeah. I'm just going to write it like this. I like to write my x in front of the coefficient, right? 2/3 x plus 1. When you reduce those fractions, that's a review skill, guys. I expect you to remember that. Okay? So, f of x divided by g of x equals 2/3 x plus 1. Would I accept it like this? Sure. I would take it both ways, especially because only one of the parts reduced. If they both reduced, I would expect you to reduce. Okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, thank you. H. Yes, that is not f over g. Okay? All right, let's do the second one. This time you got a number. F of 4 over h of 4. Okay. So f of 4 is h of 4 is just 3 because there's nowhere to put the x. Okay. 8, 11 over 3. Notice that both of these things are f divided by h. Okay? So we have two orders. You can go from here and just work your way down. Right? You can plug in 4 from the start separately and simplify. I could also start here with the x's and then plug in 4. You get the same result. See that? 8/3 plus 1. Should you be able to add fractions? Yes. You should be able to add fractions, guys. Am I going to require you to go one way or the other? No. Could you save time if you already have the thing in terms of x and you just plug 4 in? Possibly. Okay, just realize that plugging in x at the beginning or the end works both ways. Sometimes it's easier to plug in the number first as opposed to last. Depends on how complicated the order of operations are. Okay, add, subtract, multiply, divide. Those are review operations. We're going to add the new one. Okay, there's one new one that we're going to add today. Ready? I'm at the bottom of my page, so I'm going to flip it. Composition. This is the meat of the lesson right here. It's composition. Composition you've likely never seen before. Or substitution. All right. let's look at the notation that goes with our composition. It looks like fog. It's an open circle. It's not a multiply, it's an open circle. I'll write that up here. Composition is denoted by an open circle in the problem. So we're going to change the notation into what I think of as the more user-friendly notation. F, I'm going to write, notice those parentheses are the size of the whole line. The size kind of matters, and so does the order that I write this in, okay? So now I'm going to write g of x. Notice how I wrote it smaller so that it looks like it's on the inside. It's because it is. It's the input. Hierarchy, brackets, parentheses, how you order this is going to be really important. Okay, so we read this, f of g of x. It doesn't matter which way you write it, this is how you say it. Goff, which is not Goff, right? It is big, little, g of f of x. And I'm going to underline some things in a color to help you see why this is how you say it. Isn't that called g of x? Right, the part that I underlined, don't you call that g of x? Well, that's what it is. Okay, and then we have f of the green part. Same thing here. The inside part is f of x. It's like a chain reaction. You've got multiple parts here. And the outside part is f or g of the green part. This is the user-friendly notation. It kind of tells you which part is on the outside and which part is on the inside. Let's do some examples. I'm going to give you 3 new functions to work with. Yep. Let's do f of x, 3x minus 8. G of x equals 4 minus 2x. And we'll say h of x is 1/2 x plus 1. Okay. We're going to try to start slow but quickly pick up speed. Find f of 2. Find g of -1. Okay, here comes the speed. H of 2x. It's like barely. All right. See where we're at. Okay, 1 and 2, review. 3, little bit new. 4, little bit more new, but still should be reasonable. Okay, f of 2 means 3, plug in 2. Great. 6 minus 8. Negative 2. Boom. Okay, negative 2. I can do that. G of negative 1. Notice that when I'm substituting in the x, I'm using parentheses. When you substitute, it's good practice. 6, right? You can do a little simplifying here, right? Negative, negative. Okay. Anybody think they want to give 3 a try? Yes. You want to tell me what it looks like? Like, before you do any simplifying, like, what does it look like when you just write it down? Yes. Very nice. See the input? Guys, it doesn't matter what you put here. You are substituting. Composition is substitution for whatever the x is. That's it. That's all you're doing. Substituting whatever I put here into the h function. Here's what it looks like. You are taking 2x and you are putting it into that. That's what you're doing. You are taking 2x and you are putting it here. Substituting. I know when you did systems of equations, you like drew circles around stuff and you like put it into the other place. Okay, that's what we're doing. You are substituting into the other input. All right. Simplify it, right? So that's just this. So we get x plus 1. That's it. Notice I'm not solving. I'm just finding the expression. Okay. F of this. Okay. Whatever the input is, I'm replacing it with 2x minus 1. Big parentheses. See how F sort of makes a frame, and then I'm going to replace the input with 2x minus 1. This is composition without so much notation. And simplify. Right? PEMDAS. Okay. Now we are really, right, that was a warm-up, right? Let's get your brains going, thinking about the substitution. Now we're really going to do it, and we're going to use the notation from the top. Same function, so we're not going to rewrite anything. Find f of g of x. Find the composition of f and g. Okay. Rewrite it into the user-friendly notation. F is on the outside. Big parentheses. Little g of x. And I like to color code. G is on the inside. Means I'm going to start by writing down what f of x is. 3x minus 8. Notice I left off the x. Instead of writing x, I'm going to write, what am I going to do? I'm going to take g of x and I'm going to put it into the x. That's what I'm going to do. Taking g of x, and I'm making it the new input. Okay, so let's do it. 4 minus 2x. PEMDAS, simplify. Now the final answer is this, right? That is the expression that I found. Yes?
Do you care which way we write it?
No. Let's say I typically write it with the higher degrees first. But as long as it is accurate, and I'm not specifying some format, doesn't matter. Right? You might want to write the 4 first because it's positive.
I mean, like the notation.
No, no, it doesn't matter which way you write it. It just matters that you can exchange them. I find this one to be like a working format. This one is just kind of fancy, right? It doesn't really tell me that much. This is the one that I feel like I can substitute and work with. Okay. Find g of f of x, right? Same letters, different order. G, right? Change to the user-friendly notation. All right, let me make my f of x red. F goes into G. Look at that arrow, the direction. F goes into G. G. So 4 minus 2. Okay. Uh, 20. Okay. Almost out of room. I can do it. Is it okay to write this as your final answer? Sure. Yeah. Could I write that as my final answer? Yeah, the notations are interchangeable. I will not require one or the other because they mean the exact same thing, but you do need to be able to go back and forth between them because sometimes I'll write this as a prompt and sometimes I might write this one as a prompt. Right? Make sure you can do both notations. Okay, notice that these two things are not equal, which means the order matters. They're not always the same. Okay, right, gaining speed. Ready for the fast lane. You're only like medium, high-ish, or almost there. Here you go, right? It is best learned by example because the more of them you see, the more you kind of just have to see composition, right? It is hard to explain. And so this is one of those things that we try to do a lot of examples of so you can see how it works. Here you go. F of G of H. Yeah, guys. 3 is okay too. I mean, I could do 4 or 5, but at that point it gets a little tedious. Okay, so I'm going to help you write the notation, and let's see if you can do the substitutions. I'm gonna size this appropriately. I might even put in some brackets to help me with the hierarchy because there's a lot of substitution happening. Okay, F of G of, look at my letters, X. Size it, color code it, bracket, however it helps you see the levels. Because I have 3 levels. Okay, so here's a strategy. You're like, oh, Mrs. DeBreezy, 3 of them looks kind of tricky. Okay, fine. Can you do the problem if I cover this F up? So maybe you start there. Right? Maybe you start there. And then go like this, right? Okay, you see, you can do it. You have now learned enough skills to do this. I just gave you an idea of how to move forward. You're like, that looks confusing. Okay, go like this and do the inside problem first. Composition is really only defined by 2 things. Okay, so that means you're going to want to do this 2 parts first, find it, and then do it with the F. I'm going to write the answer so you can check yourself, and then I'll go through the steps with you. It actually simplifies pretty nicely. Okay, so try it. See if you get all the way down to that answer. I kind of put 4 parts up there. Yeah, it just gets a little bit tedious because you got to go 2 steps, 2 steps, 2 steps, answer. But you can do it. This becomes an exercise in PEMDAS, right? That's where you make your mistakes, is the order of operations. Now this one simplifies really nice, but guys, you will have fractions. It is okay if you have to add fractions. Like not in this one, but like you will get fractions in these questions, okay? But it is a -2, not a +1. Alright, so check your distributions, check your order of operations. Okay. Write multiple steps. I'm going to start by writing the inside part. So G of H of X. So that would be 4. Oh, nope, messed up. 4 minus 2. Okay. Put my H of X in there, 1/2, plus 1. There's G of H of X. Got it. Now I need to do F of that. I'm doing it in 1 step, right? You feel free. Okay, so 3. Yeah, it's just PEMDAS now, right? Keep track of your grouping symbols. You want to do parentheses and brackets to make sure you are doing the right steps. Okay, work your way inside out now. What is that? 3 halves. Okay. Whoop. No, you're good. Okay. All right, let's try that again. Thank you. Believe it or not, that mistake happens also. So really, I just need to distribute my -2. Okay. This happens when you try to talk and do math. 2 minus x. 6 minus 3x minus 8. There are my like terms. I am not above circling my like terms, guys. It's okay. Especially with those negatives. Negative 2. There you go. How do you write your answer? You don't just circle this. What is that equal to? It's equal to, and now it doesn't matter whether you do the O notation or the parentheses notation. F of G of H of X. That's it. This is how you write your answer. I think when you get to math space, it's easier to type parentheses. Okay? All right. We're gonna stop there. Go ahead and grab your computers and start to open them. While you are getting logged in, I have a little half sheet for you to look at. Okay? Math space. Yeah, everyone has an account. So you're going to Blackboard. If you go to your online text or resource, there's your login link. I'd probably make it a favorite. Okay? So log in. Okay? It's your regular computer login. Okay? Everyone's got it. Yours, I think, says student. Okay, so right now I'm in not the right class period, so let's go to 4th period. And there it is, 1.3 composition. Are some of you really fast? Wait. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, and start. Okay, we're going to look at how to actually type this stuff, right? Okay, so I'm here, and composition, but I'm plugging in 6. So, gosh, that's 5, parentheses, 4 plus. You're supposed to show steps, guys. All the numbers are slightly different for us, so just pay attention to where I'm putting the numbers, not what numbers I'm typing. 3 over 6. Close my parentheses. Minus 8. I'm like, all right. Yeah, your numbers are slightly different. Okay, it's like question mark. Okay, right? Your answer needs an equal sign. Oh, okay, what am I supposed to be finding? F of G of 6. Equals. That's what they want. They wanted me to actually type what it was I was finding. Okay, so I fixed it, and I'm going to try submit again. Okay, see that green circle? That means, yeah, you're good, but you're not done. It actually wants you to add up those numbers. Now, it always copies over your previous step, so you just edit, okay? Let's see. So 4 plus 1/2 is 4. You might want to jot some stuff on your paper to help you with your arithmetic. Okay. Let's see. 4.5. I suggest improper fractions. Times 5. 45 over 2. Minus 16 over 2. 35. 29 over 2? I think so. 29 over 2. Ooh, look at that, guys. Solid green check. That means you got it right. It says nice work. Okay. Now, at any point, if you get stuck, you see these numbers at the top, you can just click ahead to whatever question. You don't have to progress in order. You can click ahead. If you get stuck on something, just move forward. It will tell me where you're at. If you had an open green circle, it records the color circle you finish with, so I'll know where you got stuck. That's why you're doing it in class, so I can help you type it correctly. Once you finish your math space, guys, there's this little half sheet. Hopefully you get a chance to look at that before you leave.